So you want to text your ex back, do you? Well, sit back, relax, because this will be one of the most important videos you're ever going to watch on this subject here on YouTube. Now I'm just going to jump straight into it and start off by showing you this infographic that summarizes my complete texting system to get your ex back. Now, over the years, I've tweaked my methodology and made improvements based on the case studies that I've conducted with my clients. Now, this infographic is also based on many years of psychological research. So if you follow these steps to a T, you'll have the best chance possible of getting back together with your ex. And by the way, if you want to download this infographic, I'll have a link to it in the description below. So let's just jump into this 5-step system for texting your ex back. Now, the first step is what I call the good note initiative. The whole purpose of this step is to end the interaction with your ex on, as you guessed it, a good note. Now, if you've watched my videos before, you'll know that the no contact phase is one of the most vital aspects of my entire system. But if you enter no contact with bad blood between you and your ex, the situation might get worse. So if you begged, pleaded, or said something mean or awful to your ex, you need to make sure that you don't leave this bad taste in their mouths before the no contact phase. Now, there's a variety of texts that you can send during this phase to begin the good note initiative. One of them is what I like to call the fresh start text. Now, it goes something like this. Hey, sorry if I said anything to offend you the other day. Really don't want anything between us. Hope your day goes well. Or you could say, hey, I'm really sorry for my erratic behavior the other day. I've just been going through a lot. Hope you have a good one. Really, the key here is to make sure that you apologize for whatever you think you've done wrong, and make sure that you end the text in a way that doesn't force your ex to respond. That means that you absolutely should not ask him or her a question. And whatever you do, do not respond if your ex texts you back, even if they ask you a question. No contact begins now. And that means that you should not, under any circumstances, contact your ex for almost any reason. Now, there are several other good ways to begin the good note initiative. For example, another way is to send what I like to call the blank slate email. Now, this email is designed to fix whatever negativity was left behind between you and your ex. And sometimes it's good enough to make your ex want you back. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about the blank slate email, just head over to breakupbrad.com and watch that full video on my website. It'll fill you in on how to get all of my secret text messages, plus much more. That's breakupbrad.com if you want to watch that. So now that you've ended the interaction with your ex on a positive note, it's time to engage in step 2, which is something that I like to call operative no contact. Now, you might have heard about no contact in the past, and I do still advocate for that, generally speaking, but based on my latest research, my most successful clients don't just engage in no contact, they engage in periphery tactics and behaviors that increase their chances of getting back together with their ex. And texting plays a big role in this. But how do you use text messages when you shouldn't be contacting your ex? Well, young Padawan, I'm glad you asked. So you can engage in what I like to call my covert jealousy tactic. So instead of texting your ex, you can text a mutual friend that you both share, but make sure that this friend is truly neutral. I mean, if you're texting your ex's best or a close friend, it's not going to work because it'll seem like you're still trying to be involved in your ex's life, or that you're trying to steal your ex's friend away from them. What you want to do is text a friend that you're both equally close to. So let me just jump into an example here to better explain what I mean. So to this mutual friend, you could say something like, hey, how goes it? What was that restaurant you and your friend were talking about the other day? I want to take someone there. Or you could say, hey, I'm going with someone to step class tomorrow night. Want to come? Now, for the latter text that I just mentioned, actually bring a date to step class with you, or whatever activity you want. And once your friend gets wind of what's going on, he or she will be tempted to blab something to your ex. And if your ex gets a whiff that you're dating around, they're going to feel a sense of jealousy and loss that they've never experienced before. Trust me, it works like a charm. But subtlety is the key here. You don't want to make it obvious to your friend or to your ex that you're trying anything sneaky. If they get a sense of what you're trying to do, you're going to blow it, and your ex will probably lose even more attraction for you. So let's take a jump into step 3 of the infographic, and that is to engage in a huge self-improvement campaign. Now, this part doesn't involve much texting, but I can't disregard this crucial step in your journey to get your ex back. During this time, it's easy to feel depressed and do absolutely nothing after you've lost someone you love. I mean, I know how difficult that can be, but let me tell you a cool story about one of my clients. Let's call him Roger. I don't actually have permission to use his real name, so let's just go with that for the sake of this video. He's a 35-year-old naval officer up here in Canada, and his girlfriend of 2 years had just dumped him. He was completely shattered to the point where it was affecting his entire life. You know, he couldn't eat, he could barely sleep, and all he could think about was what she was doing and how he was going to get back together with her. That probably sounds like a familiar story, doesn't it? Well, Roger signed up for my personal coaching program and he told me the whole story. After a few quick emails back and forth, I told him that his energy and motivations were pointing him in the wrong direction and that he was actually hurting his chances of getting back together with her. He was trying to come up with grand gestures to get his ex to come back to him. But I told him that if he really wanted his ex back, he should be diverting his attention to himself. Now, I told you to think of it this way. Your ex broke off with you because of a very specific reason. And in this case, it's because his ex lost her attraction for Roger. And then I told him that the only way to get her back was to focus on whatever made her lose that attraction for Roger in the first place and fix it. Now, Roger told me that before the breakup, he was extremely complacent in the relationship. He stopped pursuing his passions of cooking, playing the violin, and painting. All he really wanted to do, it seemed, was stay at home and watch Amazon Prime. He told me that he worked long hours at the base and that when he came home, he was completely drained. And this drove Roger's girlfriend away, and I suspected that this was the real reason why she broke up with him. So instead of wallowing in his sorrow, I told Roger to focus his time and energy on why his ex broke up with him in the first place. I told Roger that now is the time to focus on renewing his passions, setting new goals, and living his best life. I told him that once his ex saw his renewed vigor for life, she'd begin to miss him. And lo and behold, after using some of the tactics I outlined, she did. She reached out to him and wanted to grab coffee. And I think the rest was history. I haven't heard from Roger for about a week now, but the last time I checked, they were back together and happier than ever. So by focusing all of his time and energy on step 3, self-improvement, he was able to make his ex see what she was missing. And this is something that I've seen time and time again. When you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, people begin to feel an attraction for you. So if you want to learn more about how you can diagnose the real reason why your ex broke up with you in the first place, check out my personal coaching program. Just head over to breakupbrad.com/coaching, and on that page you'll see my availability and how coaching works. Again, the URL is breakupbrad.com/coaching. All right, and on to step 4 now, which is to establish first contact. This is where texting really comes into play. Usually I suggest to my clients that they wait at least 30 days before contacting their exes, but sometimes actually, depending on the situation, I even suggest a slightly longer operative no contact period. Again, if you're unsure, you can sign up for that coaching program and you can ask me personally. Anyways, the goal of first contact is simple. All you want to do is establish positive rapport. So let's jump into a quick texting example. I call it the help text. So you can say something like, "Hey, I've been doing some research on intermittent fasting. I knew you were really good with this stuff, so could I buy you a coffee so I could pick your brain? I'd love to catch up too." Or you could say, "Hey, I've been getting a lot more into Thai cooking lately. You always made the best pad Thai. Any chance I can ask you some questions?" Now, the goal here isn't to try and seduce your ex back into your life, but to simply build friendly rapport and to set up a date. And another thing you should remember is that you should be asking about something that your ex is passionate about. Remember, people always want to talk about the things that they're interested in, so keep this in mind when you're crafting your first contact text message. When you're setting up a date with your ex, you need to give off the impression that you're only interested in being friends. If your ex explicitly asks you what the meeting is all about, you could say that you're simply wanting a friendly catch-up and that's all. Now, I have a ton of other videos about what to do on the first date, but given the scope of this video, I'm just going to skip that and head right on over to my last step, which is step 5, reattraction. Now, once you've established contact with your ex and gone out on a date, he or she should be missing you like crazy if you've played your cards correctly. All you have to do now is send a few more texts to seal the deal. Now again, for this we're going to reuse some covert jealousy tactics. So you could text your ex something like, "This girl I went out with the other night told me the craziest story about how she remembered me from high school. It was nuts." Or, "This guy I met up with last night mentioned this amazing dish that he wanted to make for me. It's a pad Thai dish. I'm super stoked for it." Now again, the key here is that you can't make it obvious that you're trying to make your ex jealous or that you're actively seeing anyone else. Right now, you just want to plant a psychological seed in their brain that you're indeed being pursued by other men or women. Of course, you're going to have to play it by ear. Depending on where you're at with your ex, this text might be a little inappropriate. If you're already close to sealing the deal with your ex, the thought of you dating around might be a huge turnoff to them. So make sure you think these things through before you do send a text message like this. But if you do it right, and your ex gets wind of how highly sought after you are, they'll come running back to you. I guarantee it. So there you have it. I know I've only briefly touched on every step here. So if you want to learn my complete system, just follow this free video guide on my website. Head over to breakupbrad.com, select the right video for your gender, and watch away. It isn't a very long video, so if you're interested in getting your ex back, then head over there right now breakupbrad.com. All right, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.